Commission to investigate an alleged violation or abuse of human rights. Under the Constitution of Zambia, Zambia Police is mandated to investigate and prevent crime whilst upholding the Bill of Rights, and in the same vein, coordinate with other institutions. It is our proposal that the additional functions should therefore include a provision allowing the Commission to coordinate and collaborate with other investigative institutions for purposes of enhancing accountability. Report and recommendation. Section 21(2)(a) of the Bill makes provision for the release of a person in detention on the recommendation of the Commission to an appropriate authority whenever it considers necessary. It is our opinion that the term necessity is a blanket term which may be subject to abuse and a possible means of frustrating genuine criminal proceedings. The release of a person from detention on the recommendation of the Commission should be based on objective criteria and legal considerations to avoid any appearance of bias. It is therefore our proposal that the ambit for necessity be defined for purposes of this section. For instance, the ambit could be defined to range from A, where there is evidence of torture, cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment, arbitrary arrest or detention, or violations of due process. 2. B, where the person's detention lacks a valid legal basis or is not in accordance with relevant domestic laws, i.e., when the person is held without formal charges beyond the lawful period of detention or without proper judicial oversight. Section 21(2)(b) of the Bill makes provision for the payment of compensation to a victim of human rights violation or abuse, or to a victim's family. We take recognition the term payment in this section, which may give an impression that the compensation may only be monetary. It is our considered view that the term payment should be deleted from the section, since compensation may take many forms, including financial compensation, restitution, rehabilitation, and guarantee of non-repetition. Further, we propose that the type of compensation available to such victim or family should be outlined for the sake of clarity. Section 21(2)(c) of the Bill provides for the punishment of any officer found by the Commission to have perpetrated an abuse of human rights. We find the use of the term officer in this section to be segregative, considering that the term has not been defined in the Bill. It is thus gives a preemptive impression that only officers are amenable to committing human rights violations. To the contrary, every human being is capable of violation and or abusing human rights. Our proposal is therefore that the term should be deleted and replaced with the term person. Funds of Commission. Section 23(2)(a) of the Bill allows the Commission to accept monies by way of grants or donations from any source within the Republic and subject to the approval of the Minister responsible for finance, from any source outside the Republic. In view of the above, we recommend that monies by way of grants or donations from any source within the Republic, as well as from any source outside the Republic, should be subject to the approval of the minister responsible for finance, as this will enhance accountability and to avert the possibility of the board being compromised by the who would be funders of the commission. We conclude by submitting that the provisions of the bill are progressive and therefore welcome. We humbly submit, Chair.
Thank you for that submission. Any clarification seeking? Yes, Honorable Man.
Thank you so much. Let me take you back to the second last page on section 2, where the punishment of any officer found by the commission to be you have proposed the term officer to person. Don't you see it appropriate if we put persons? Thank you.
Any other observation? Yes, Honorable Chinkoli.
Thank you, Chair. Though I had two observations, but I think the other one has been partially attended to. I think last time we had an issue where we were talking about authorized officer being given powers to. Now my question was, when you talk about authorized officer to do investigations, and are you talking about the police or the commission will choose its own officer, which will somehow contradict or be, antagonize the mandate of the police, because we believe the police are mandated to investigate, prosecute, then that one has been partially attended to. The second one is the funds of the commission. For me, looking at this clause, I think it's a recipe for corruption. Some eminent writers, made mention that an aid is a justification to influence, local politics and local policy making. So now, if we are going to give the commission that mandate to source for funds, are we not allowing other people to come in and regulate how these matters should be directed? I submit, Chair.
Thank you. The third one, Honorable Amata.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for a well articulated and summarized submission. I'm taking you to page or RIF 3. The funds of the commission. In your submission, you are indicating that these funds should be subject to approval by the minister in charge of the finance. Now I was wondering whether there's a difference with what the bill is proposing, or you are merely agreeing to what is being proposed. I'm trying to connect your submission and what is proposed. Thank you.
Okay, so we take those three first, and we'll come later. So you can respond to those three.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'll start with the first question or clarification. Where we talk of person, I think there is no harm to indicate person or persons, because it's not always that violations can be done by more than one person. neither is it always that a violation can only be done by one person. So I think the two can be included. Coming to the second comment made by Honorable Monty, when we talk of any officer investigating, in this respect, we are referring to officers. We are referring to officers from this commission, not police officers. So this bill is talking about this commission, Human Rights Commission. So we are not referring to police officers investigating, because usually the Human Rights Commission investigates allegations at times that are made against the investigative wings. So we are referring to officers from the commission itself. There's the issue of funding as a recipe for corruption. We feel there will be enough checks and balance, because the funds will have to go through the Ministry of Finance, which is the custodian of all government property and funds. So I think once such funds go through the Ministry of Finance, there will be a lot of checks and balances before maybe authorities is given. So we feel this is the right way, that any donation should be channeled. When we were coming up with this suggestion, we had in mind the difficulties that the Commission faces. At times in running workshops, for example, or maybe mere touring provinces, it becomes very difficult at times. Hence, we get a lot of accusations against our Commission that they are not doing their job because they are not able to move. They cannot hold workshops, for example, to educate various stakeholders. So we thought maybe donations can complement what government budgets can do. I think the question is almost similar to the last comment, where we emphasized, yes, we realized that already there's that provision, but then I think it was just an emphasis that yes, the funding should come and be approved by the Minister of Finance. I submit, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable. You can also introduce yourself.
Thank you, Chair. Through you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you. My name is Honorable J. Emmanuel Banda, Member of Parliament for Petauke Central Constituency, and also here at Parliament, I'm independent whip and a member of this committee. My question, Chair, is on section 23(2). Yeah, about the funding, whereby it's supposed to go to the Minister of Finance. Are we not going to be doing things because of the process, and there will be too much bureaucracy surrounding that for it to go through? You find that the commission maybe is in the province, and there are well-wishers who wants maybe to donate something. But for it now to go until finance, what it will be doing a lot of things. And also there are some well-wishers who wouldn't want to take that process. So why can't it be maybe, let's say not even really the means of finance, but maybe just maybe to be allowed to be deposit any donation to be deposited direct to the account of the commission, not to a person, but direct to accounts, not really to go to the Minister of Finance. You know how we have been struggling with the bureaucracy surrounding CDF, because it used to go through the Minister of Finance and it used to delay a lot of things. That's why we have even decentralized it at council level when it comes to CDF. So it's just the same, whereby we are trying to remove things from the Minister of Finance, trying to decentralize, but now which means we are taking them back. I submit, Chair.
Okay, that's the first one. Yes, Honorable Kasande.
Thank you, Chair. I want to draw the witness to page 13 of the bill, part 3, on Article 17, Clause 1. I just want your comment, sir. I'll read what is being proposed. 17.1. An authorized officer may, for the purpose of protecting human rights and freedoms, at any reasonable time without prior notice and on the authority of the warrant, enter any premises that the authorized officer has reasonable grounds to believe is used or about to be used for commissions of an offense. My concern is where it says at any reasonable time enter a premise without notice. I have no difficulties with the warrant. We are talking about the Human Rights Commission entering your property without notice. Human rights, anybody, I will have no issue. But I'm talking about an institution whose sole mandate is to protect human rights. And then here there is a suggestion that they are given power to enter any premises without notice. What is your comment, sir?
There are those two. You can proceed in responding to those two observations.
Thank you, Chair. I'll start with a comment by Honorable Banda. I think here, Chair, the issue is we have to choose between the bureaucracy and the transparency stroke accountability. So it is our view that in most cases, it may be difficult for us as a country to do away with the bureaucracy just for the sake of accountability and transparency. So as the Zambia police, we feel accountability and transparency takes precedence. We have got no way out but maybe to suggest this. Just last week when I was sitting with my team, we were in fact looking at situations not only in Zambia but even in other jurisdictions where the whole institution can be compromised. So we feel even here some very powerful entities can manage to compromise the whole institution. So to avoid that, we feel maybe such type of donations should have a lot of checks and balances, and we feel maybe by going through the ministry there will be enough checks and balances. Coming to the second issue that talks of authorized officer, I think it's our thinking that anybody that is appointed to this commission is somebody of very high integrity, such that whenever they make a decision to enter any premises, I'm sure it should be done from a very well-informed decision. As such, we feel maybe there may not be any questions after such an officer has entered somebody's premises. In any case, if one gets aggrieved, we've got some recourse to our courts of law to challenge anybody if you feel it doesn't deserve to enter your premises. I submit, Chair.
Yes, Honorable Banda.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I'll still draw back the committee and the witnesses on section 23(2). Here the witnesses are saying that accountability, and the proposal is that money, that donation should be deposited in the account, and then once it's deposited in the account, which means already the transparency is there. Unless if we say that that money should be given to one of the members in that commission, yes, we can say it's not transparent. But if we tell the donor to say, go and deposit this is account, this is the account number, already there is it transparent. Everyone is going to know to say this man has been deposited. It doesn't mean that when it just passes through the Ministry of Finance, that's when accountability and transparency is there. I submit, Chair.
Yes, Honorable Kasanda.
With your permission, Chair, I want to draw the witness to some practices in other jurisdictions in terms of vis-a-vis the officers, with your permission, Chair, if I may be allowed.
Said,
I want to draw the attention of the witness to some practices in other jurisdictions concerning the police and the human rights, if I am permitted. In some jurisdictions, when this committee benchmarked in other countries, we came to learn that there is a commissioner of police in charge of human rights as at the higher level, and each police station or each division has a human rights officer who advises the police on issues to do with human rights before they are even abused. At the entry point, when an individual is apprehended or picked up, so those officers are permanently under the police, but coordinate with the human rights. They advise the police from the word go. So I just wanted to get your comment if this could be transported into our jurisdiction, since we are repeating the entire Act for the Human Rights. And then there is also a provision somewhere that if a police officer detains a suspect beyond the legal hours, and that individual at the end of the day sues the state and is awarded compensation, it is actually the police officer who abuses the law that pays for that compensation they deduct from their salaries, because the law states if it's 12 hours, 12 hours, if it's 24 hours, 24 hours. And in those jurisdictions, they don't detain people beyond what the law says, because there's that provision that ensures that when the state is sued and loses the case, the police officer who abuses the provisions of the law is the one to pay that individual. I would want your comment, since this is it's like we are making a new law. So I'm just bringing this to your attention. I don't know what your comments would be.
You can proceed to respond to.
Thank you very much, Chair. Starting with the Honorable Banda. Chair, we stand by our submission. It will be up to the committee to decide what they do with our submission. We may end up repeating ourselves.
Yeah.
Coming to the second question, yes, that is a good idea in those jurisdictions, but maybe I want to indicate to the House that even within Zambia, we have almost a similar situation, but maybe there may be some difference in terminologies. We have an integrity committee, which is based at police headquarters. This committee is headed by an assistant commissioner. And this office does exactly what the Honorable MP is saying. Currently, we have spread throughout. All the provincial headquarters are covered by this integrity committee. And it's our plan that going forward, maybe as we reach mid next year, we may have spread up to station levels. So we have this committee. it's a very powerful committee such that it can even indicate to the office of the IG where maybe they feel they are not going according to what is expected in terms of human rights. So it's a very powerful committee, except maybe the name that we are using may differ from other jurisdictions. As regards individual officers paying from their own pocket when they are found wanting, maybe I'll ask somebody from Rigo to comment, because I think there is something that is happening in this regard. I don't know, Mr. Ndandumuna, if you have something.
Maybe those jurisdictions which have reached that stage, they are really advanced in terms of resources. For instance, here in Zambia, you may find that, I'll give you an example of certain places. We have detention facilities, but we don't have a court nearby. And sometimes maybe the police, they don't have transport to take those suspects to court. So it would be very unfair if that kind of thing, if a police officer can pay for such kind of issues, unless if we are provided with all the necessary resources so that we are able to speed up our investigations and even taking people before court. I thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And I would request we go into the second bill. Our comment from, yes, you can proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Maybe before we cross over to the other bill, just a clarity on a few points that arose. The first issue that I would like to traverse relates to a concern which was raised by Honorable Kasandwe pertaining to section or clause 17 of the proposed bill, as it were. Honorable Chair, clause 17 in the bill speaks to conducting of a search or powers to conduct a search. Just to add on to what the response from the Zambia Police Service was, I think they're in support of the issue of conducting a search without notice. I think the bigger concern is anchored on the aspect indicated as conducting a search without prior notice. Just to add to what our colleagues from the Zambia Police have indicated, I think part of that provision was put there in order to avert instances where people conceal evidence. Because if you tell people to say, we're coming to search you tomorrow, they will conceal all the evidence, and the search will be an academic exercise. So primarily, that is part of the reason why we couch it like that. And also the court is there to scrutinize all requests for a search because there must be a warrant. That's the first aspect. The second aspect, Honorable Chair, relates to section 221(2)(a), where the Zambia Police Service registered a concern on the usage of the word officer. Our response to that, Honorable Chair, is they're saying it's quite segregative because it might not be an officer. In order to simplify this aspect, I think we have to look at it in context. Actually, it's 21(2)(c), punishment of an officer. We have to look at it in context. I know from the Zambia Police side, whenever you mention officer, I think you are talking to a police officer specifically. So it's an issue of context. We have to read what the chapeau says. The chapeau is clause 2, subsection 2 of the same section 21. I'll read it out so that we are all on the same page. It says the commission may, where the commission considers it necessary for an inquiry, recommend to an appropriate authority. So the entire paragraphs under subclause 2 are with reference to an appropriate authority. Appropriate authority is defined under clause 2, and I'll read it in full so that we are also on the same page here. Appropriate authority is defined as it means the minister responsible for, or a body or a public body, statutory body or person having powers under any other written law or executive instrument over, impacting on or relating to the protection of human rights. So what I'm driving at is the entire provision speaks to institutions and in the discharge of their powers. So when we are drafting laws, when you're talking of a person acting in an official capacity, we refer to them as officers. So they may not be officers in the context of the Zambia Police Service, but we're referring to somebody doing something on behalf of an institution, not in their personal capacity. So it is not segregative. I just wanted to clarify that point. Then lastly, Honorable Chair, they also raised the concern relating to the usage of the word necessary under the same provision, clause 21. I'll just read it so that it's seen in context. The Commission may, where the Commission considers it necessary after an inquiry, recommend to the appropriate authority. And then down there are some actions which might be taken, release of a person, and so on and so forth. So the usage of the word necessary there, it may be amenable to abuse, that was their concern, but maybe just to give them some element of comfort. As far as the applicability of this provision is concerned, the Commission can only recommend to that authority. So for instance, if it's Zambia Police, the Commission can only recommend, can you please consider the release of this person? So it's up to you to decide whether that recommendation makes sense or not. So all these points that you raised, for instance, it must be anchored on a delayed detention and so on and so forth. You can still anchor your decision based on those specific parameters. So the long and short of what I'm trying to say is a recommendation when it's brought to you, you have every authority to scrutinize it and see whether it's just an issue of abuse of a provision in the law or whether it makes sense. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Okay, we go into the second bill.
Good morning once more, Chair. Heading and title, Memorandum on Ramification on the National Prosecution Authority Amendment Bill 2023, submitted by the Inspector General of Police. Ramifications of the bill.
Recording in progress.
The substantive statement for evaluation in order to determine the ramification is on the consideration of the National Prosecution Authority Amendment Bill 2023. We have studied the aforesaid bill and we propose that minor changes be made to enhance it. Generally, the proposed bill, in view of the Zambia Police Service as an institution with the responsibility of ensuring security of the people, protection of life and property, detection and prevention of crime, is progressive. Board of Authority. Section 7 of the Amendment Bill seeks to repeal and replace provisions constituting the Board of the National Prosecution Authority. The bill seeks to remove the Director of Public Prosecutions as the chairperson of the Board of the Authority, a move that is progressive. However, we propose that Section 7, 1H, which reads, two persons with relevant knowledge and experience in prosecutorial matters should be amended to allow the Law Association of Zambia to nominate the two members with knowledge and experience in prosecutorial matters, since LAS is not represented on the board. We further propose that one more person be nominated to represent the Auditor General's Office in accordance with Section 7.3 of the bill, which provides that the members under subsection 1 shall be nominated by their respective ministries, organizations, or institutions for the appointment by the minister. The Auditor General's Office should be equally represented on the board. We conclude by submitting that the provisions of the bill are progressive and therefore welcome. We amply submit, Chair.
Thank you. Yes, Honorable Chinkuli.
Thank you, Chair. and thank you for your brief, submission. I want to look at the board of authority, section 7, where I think it should be line 1, 2, 3. The bill seeks to remove the Director of Public Prosecution as the chairperson of the board of the authority, of which you are saying here the move is progressive. I just want you to look at was this DPP's office is a creature of the Constitution. This office is, I believe, emanates from the Constitution. So, looking at what is being proposed here and the Constitution, is there any correlation or there will be some effect, at the end of it? I submit here.
Yes, Honorable Kasande.
Thank you, Chair. In the same vein, I want to take you to the proposed bill on page 5. I think it's 23, where it says the board may, by discretion in writing, and on condition that the board considers necessary, delegate to the Director of Public Prosecution any of the board's functions under this act. I'm just thinking in the layman's, in the villagers way, that this is tantamount to undermine the DPP. The DPP may be interfere with when he's executing his duties. There are two schools of thought. Those the proponents of good governance and the proponents of independence of institutions. Now, those who are proponents of good governance, they are saying, yes, the DPP should not be a board chair because the board chair should be a board chair for the higher authority. But those who are also proponents of independence of institution are arguing that removing the DPP from being a chair of the board will actually undermine his authority, and there is a possibility of his functions being interfered with. I just wanted your comment.
I can respond to those two.
Thank you, Chair. Though I don't have the act with me, but I think I'll remember the comment from the Honorable. Chair, it's our position as Zambia Police that the DPP should not be a board chair because a lot of decisions may be compromised. Yes, we feel the board should be totally independent from the influence of the DPP so that whatever decisions the board makes are independent. In any case, I think the core function of the DPP is the prosecutorial as against the functions of the board. Those functions, I'm sure they are clearly stipulated. Secondly, the board is not, it's a part-time working body where the DPP is in the office on a daily basis. So our position is that the DPP should not chair this board. I have in mind the bodies like ZESCO, for example. I don't know what would happen if the MD for ZESCO also happens to be the board chair, with so many decisions that are made. So I think we can take a parallel example and insist that the DPP should not chair this body. I think the Act, when you go through it, indicates the functions of the body, which are totally different from the core functions of the DPP. I don't know if I've answered the question, which I feel they are almost, the two comments are almost similar. So maybe if in my summary, I would submit that that is our reasoning.
Yes, Honorable Banda.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I think draw you on National Prosecution Authority Amendment Bill 2023 on should be second page. It's in line with section 7, the removal of the DPP. I'm sure removing the DPP and start asking the ministry to appoint two people. I'm sure, yeah, it's two, almost, yeah, two people or more. I think that also it's tampering with our democracy according to our constitution, because I'm sure leaving the DPP like that already, you remember when we were touring, when we were meeting the on benchmarking to see, especially in southern province, there was that there's a situation where the police and the prosecution authority, whereby the blame game, who delays the case and who delays what. So I'm sure for my understanding, and I'm sure it's just to leave the same board chairperson position in the hands of DBP, also to protect our democracy. I submit, Chair.
Any observation? Okay. I just wanted also to get a comment on the current amendment bill, which tries to delete secretary, the word secretary, which is present in the current act, which is deleted in the current bill. What is the position of the police service? Yes, Honorable Amata.
Yes, Chair. Personally, I just want to find out, especially that we are dealing with the law enforcers. Am I clear?
Yes, Chair. We can proceed. We are listening.
Oh, good. Thank you. I was saying I just want to find out, especially that we are dealing with the law enforcers and who have that vast experience in maintaining law and order. We are trying to cure something, I believe, with the removal of the DPP to chair this board. Now, from your past experience, what could have been the challenges that you probably have faced where we have the DPP chairing? I hope my question is clear. Like I said, you have that experience in your execution of your duty. Now, it is from your experience where you can educate this committee what could have been the problem that we have faced all along to this date. Because I believe when you want to, you are changing the law, there is something that you are curing, other than just the issue of counter accountability. Because it's as good as we are saying, from where we are coming from, there has been no accountability because of the DPP who has been the chair. I submit, Chair.
Thank you. Can respond.
I think that is a very difficult question to answer, unless if we were the part of those people who were doing the research. why they want to remove the DPP. And unfortunately also, we are not even part of the board members for that particular committee to see why the DPP should be removed or not.
Okay, I would just want to remind you that as we are interacting here, everybody has immunity. Just a simple reminder. Everybody has immunity. So there's nothing like somebody who do me like this or someone. No, there's nothing like that. We as a committee are seeking from you, the stakeholders, and the Zambia police is a major stakeholder in prosecution. Previously, I think prosecution and Zambia police was one thing. Somewhere along the way, that's where there was this diversion. But some of the officers there, they bear the police. So the questioner is just trying to get your experience. It's known that you are practically you are not in the board, but the effect of the board meetings and whatever could have been spilled over through some application of some activities. So if there is some insight of challenges arising from the DPP chairing, that's the knowledge we would want to seek. But again, we are not forcing you, but if there is none, it's okay, there is none. It's not a force. Maybe before, let
Yes, Chair, maybe I may comment. Yes, we may not be able to cite direct examples as it relates to the problem that may have arisen, but it suffices to say the DPP has got his or her core functions, and the board's functions also, they are stipulated. So it's our position as police that the two separate functions should be handled by two different bodies. Putting a DPP as chair may not create enough transparency. So that's why we suggest it this way. But maybe I may comment on what the Honorable Banda has raised, the issue of blame game between the police and the office of the DPP. Yes, indeed, we have got a lot of challenges in between the DPP's office and Zambia police since the change of the system in terms of prosecutions. Currently, I'm sure you agree with me that you hear a lot of people being given police bonds simply because we are not able to have them appear on the same day, for example, as it used to be in the past. Because you take a docket to the DPP's chambers today, you are rest assured that you can't receive it within the next 3-4 days. Meanwhile, the Constitution says something else. So what is happening now, even on issues regarding suspects that may be a flight risk, we have got no choice but to have them released. Because I don't know whether the issue of inertia on the office of the DPP, we can't get answers as we used to do in the past because we had our own prosecutors. Last week we had a typical example where somebody was seriously injured, and I'm yet to find out this morning whether that person is still alive or not. But we couldn't hold the suspect long because the law provides that he should be released during a stipulated period. And meanwhile, the docket hasn't yet come back to us. So we are forced to release suspects. But in the past, when we had our own prosecutors, when we see even with bare eyes that this case, maybe we are remaining with only one statement, our prosecutors could indict somebody, knowing that by the time trial starts, this last statement will be available, or the doctor will sign this medical report. But currently, it's not the case. That's why you hear of the issue of blame game. DPP will say police haven't written the last statement, and the police would say the docket is still with the DPP. So there is a very serious problem in that regard. So that's what I may comment on the issue of the office of the DPP and the police.
Maybe I allow the members who joined us so that they make introductions.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Mlenga Francis Fuve. I'm the Member of Parliament for Chiruvi, also a member of this committee. I don't know, Chair, if at all.
Maybe let him make his.
Chair, good morning. Good morning, Zambia Police. My sincere apologies for stepping in late. I had a situation beyond my control. My name is Singombe Edgar, representing the people of Dundumwezi. Thank you so much.
So, that's Honorable Fuvel, and Honorable Banda, and Honorable Chinkundi. In that order.
Okay. I've read through the short presentation that has come from the Zambia Police, and I think I have just come in when they are talking about the board versus the DPP's office. I wanted to find out from the police on the issue of because the Constitution, it's good that the officer referred to our witness, referred to the Constitution. The Constitution stipulates in Article 180 on the prosecutorial, roles and duties of the DPP. And to me, the Constitution is supreme in this case to any other subsidiary law. And among the issues that the amendments are addressing to do with the body approving strategies, management documents and the like, meaning that at some point, the DPP's office, specifically NPA, cannot move without the blessing of the board. That's what it means. And if that be the case, it also means that the DPP's office will be directly controlled by the board, in contradiction with the spirit of the Constitution. I don't know how that sits with the police.
Yes, Honorable Banda.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I would like the witnesses we have today maybe to clarify to the committee and to convince us, to give us convincing reasons why we should amend this bill and what are the challenges, so that we should be convinced to say, okay, this is the solution indeed. I'm sure maybe it's getting, or maybe in short, what are the challenges have they been facing all along, which can force us to
let me ask
amend?
for assistance. I would request the honorable member to not to push the police in the corner. Let the police, or let the witness exercise freedom by giving what they can. That which they can't, we shouldn't draw blood from a stone. That was just a question.
Okay.
But maybe before we finish, I ask the Vice Chair to introduce herself.
Thank you, Chair. Sorry for coming late. Good morning. I'm Tesiwa Lungu Monsa, Member of Parliament for Chawama constituency. I'm also the Vice Chair of the committee. Thank you.
So, you can Honorable.
Thank you, Chair. Also, just to tender an apology, I've just arrived from Siavanga. We went for a workshop. My name is Honorable George Kangwach Sanga, Member of Parliament for Lukasha constituency, and a member of the subcommittee. Thank you, Chair.
So, Honorable Banda, you can simplify your question.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Chair. Why I was saying that, Chair, I'm sure here in this house, in this committee, we have got immunity. I'm sure you have also blessed them with the same immunity which we enjoy, so that we can be transparent. So as we are debating things or taking things in the house, we should convince our friends to say, yes, as a committee, we have gone through this bill and it needs to be amended, because the same questions which we are asking, other members of parliament will be asking the same questions. So before it goes there, before the committee approve, we're supposed to have also convincing answers to our friends who are members of parliament as well. So that's why I might be asking that question, so that even those answers, because the answers which the witnesses are giving us, this is the same answers also us now will be giving other members, because to amend this bill, it's not only this committee, the members for this committee alone. No, it will require the whole House, which has got about more than 160 MPs to amend this bill.
Now you can proceed.
Yeah. So my question is the challenges which they have been facing, so that why we should amend, why we should remove the DPP to be a board chair for this committee, so that we know to say, okay, these are the reasons.
Yes, Honorable Member, that's why I was saying the witness has come to submit. It's not a testification, no? The police is not testifying. The police is just submitting. They are giving their views, meaning they have given their view over that amendment of removing the DPP from the office. So if they have given their view, we can't go further to say, give us more reasons. Why? Because they are not the mover, they are not the author of this bill. They have found themselves in the process that there is an amendment. So they are not the cause of this amendment. What they have told us is their view towards the amendment which has been observed.
Now, Chair, as you are coming with that view, there's supposed to be a cause for you to have that view.
No, it's not them, Honorable Member, we shouldn't argue so much. It's not them to cause, it's not them, because they are not the mover of this bill.
They are observing, because they have observed that this, as a board chairperson, for a DPP to be a board chairperson, must be repressed. So it's not you maybe to answer, because it's not you who will be answering there as chair. That's why maybe it's them now to give their opinion, to say they want the DPP to be...
Honorable Member, it's not the police who wants the DPP out.
It's the bill.
The bill is from the Ministry of Justice. It's not from the Home Affairs or the Police Service. No. So the committee or Parliament wants to hear the views. Parliament. Okay, let me not say the committee. Let me say Parliament. Parliament has invited the police so that this aspect of amendment, now the Parliament says, what is your view? So now the police says, our view is this. Now for Parliament again to say, give us more, for me I feel we are going beyond. Anyway, that's my observation. Yes, Honorable Chisanka.
Chair, I might sound repetitive, but I'm going to ask a question that is similar to Honorable Jeb, and I think I caught the last part of what Honorable Fube was asking. I'm premising my question, many witnesses, on the provisions of the Constitution that was designed to give the DPP unfettered powers when it is discharging the function of being the chief prosecutor of the nation. The Constitution says he shall be subject to no one. He shall be accountable to no one. In other words, the Constitution has given him unfettered powers in making decisions that go with prosecution. There's a historical justification to that, because the independence of the DPP is what engenders the jurisprudence development in the nation. You have submitted, I'm sorry if I'm going to sound quite negative, you have only made one statement in commenting on this provision. You have just considered it progressive. Maybe the members would like to be told quite in detail, why do you think that this proposed amendment, which in fact flies in the teeth of the constitutional protection of the DPP, can be progressive? I hope that question is clear, Chair.
You can respond.
Thank you very much, Chair. The Honorable joined us a bit late after we had indicated our position. But I think the main reason why we are of this view is because the functions of the DPP are different from the functions of the board. And I'm sure the board's functions are stipulated. And we feel by separating the DPP from the board, it will give more independence to the board to make decisions in the absence of the DPP. Earlier on, I was giving the example of ZESCO, where if we made the ZESCO MD the board chair of ZESCO, I don't know what scenario we're going to have in terms of decision makings. So our view is that let the DPP not be the chair of this board. But maybe I may make a comment also on the issue of our decision contradicting what the Constitution says. I'm sure once we come across such a situation, our members of parliament will know what to do. I'm sure they will find a cure to that. And that's why even the Constitution, once in a while also, it is repealed or amended. Maybe it's because of contradictions like this one, and weighing which benefits are better between those in the Constitution and those maybe in the subsidiary legislation. So this is our opinion as Zambia Police, that the board chair of this board should not be the DPP. I submit, Chair.
Yes. Yeah, can proceed.
Maybe in addition to what the Deputy Inspector General have said, from my own understanding, when the Constitution says that the Director of Public Prosecution should not be subjected to any authority, to me it means his functions, the duties of the Director of Public Prosecutions, which are outlined also in Section 8 of the National Prosecutions Authority, Act number 34 of 2010. And the function of the DPP are as follows: institute and undertake criminal proceedings against any other person before any court, apart from the court martial, take over and continue criminal proceedings from any other person or authority, discontinue at any time, any stage, before judgment is delivered, any proceedings. Then when we look at the function of the board, the function of the board here is talking about the function of the board here is approve policies, programs, strategies of the authority. B, approve the annual work plan, action plans, activities report of the authority, approve the annual budget estimates and financial statements of the authority, and promote effective corporate governance of the authority. I'm not seeing the function of the board taking away the duties of the DPP of prosecuting criminal matters. I submit. Thank you.
Do you have a question?
Thank you, Chair. Is it also your opinion that after this bill goes through as is, since you're calling it progressive, that then we need to now, that Parliament should now go back and change the Constitution so that it can be in line with this bill? Thank you, Chair.
You can respond.
Chair, I think that would be a good idea.
What is the idea?
The idea of amending certain sections in the Constitution so that it doesn't contradict what the NPA Act should say.
Okay. Yes, Honorable Sumombe.
Thank you very much, Chair. Are you now stating that it's true that there's a contradiction in this case? Thank you.
Maybe to help the Deputy Inspector General of Police. I think I've already explained here, there is no contradiction between the two. The function of the body and the duties of the function of the Director of Public Prosecution.
Honorable Fulber.
Going by what he has quoted, Article 8, Section 8 of the NPA Act, if you go if you can read, is it possible you can read 188 of the Constitution? Article 188 of the Constitution. I think the issue here is autonomy of the DPP's office. And autonomy, sir, from my simple understanding, means that the issue of control comes in. If, for instance, I'm a managing director, I'm giving an example, and I cannot implement anything until I'm given blessings by the board to start implementing. Because if you look at the expanded amendments and the proposed amendments, it's talking about the board, which does not include, in this case, players like the police. It does not include other players that are in the prosecution line. And now brings in, for instance, legal head board. You know that the functions of legal head board and those functions of what, there is a clashing point somewhere because of the role that the legal head board plays. If we are to follow the legal head board act, and because we don't want to have a heap of acts to refer to here, if you pick the section 8 that you did talk about, actually section 8, if we are to follow the spirit in Article 1 of the Constitution, with the 2016 amended Constitution, it is clear that any subsidiary law that is repugnant with the spirit of the Constitution should be overruled by the Constitution. And if you read the Article 180, which declares the DPP's office as chief, prosecutor, and then the chief prosecutor will be preparing budgets, will be preparing strategies, will be preparing activities, which in this case would be submitted to a board and now start waiting, because the duties, you cannot separate the duties of the prosecutorial duties of the DPP away from the activities, because for the DPP to implement, there must be strategies, just like the police have their strategies, meaning that things like strategic plans, programs, and control. There is a word of control that has been used in the word. But when you look at there in Article 80, it's saying no institution, no individual should control the DPP's office. So if that is not a clash constitutionally, I don't know what it is. Even when we quote Section 8 and want to justify the constitutional requirements of the DPP's office.
Maybe for the witness also to help us clarify. The current Act for National Prosecution Authority, Article 6 or Section 6, whatever you call it, it reads, except as the otherwise provided in this Act, the authority shall not, in the performance of its functions, be subject to the direction or control of any person or authority other than the Director of Public Prosecution. These are very clear words. No direction from any authority or any person. So here now a situation where the board can resolve something contrary to the authority. What will be the way forward? Because this article or this section has not been amended. So meaning there must be correlation of everything which the DPP has to consent to. So I don't know, I would want to get a comment also in relation to this section.
Chair, I hear you. But I think as the Zambia police, we came up with the highlights of what we saw as being good and that they should be amended. As regards the contradictions between this act and the Constitution, as I said earlier, yes, we all agree. Whatever is contradictory to what the Constitution says, automatically it is declared null and void. Okay. So I think maybe the police may not go beyond that.
Okay.
I submit, Chair.
Thank you very much. I think today might be the longest day because we still have 2 more witnesses and we took off a bit late. Yes, Honorable, maybe the last one.
Chair,
and make it summary.
Yeah, I just want to be additionally informed on the position taken by Zambia Police. There was an analogy that was drawn with Zambia, with ZESCO, I think, in terms of border operations vis-a-vis being Chief Executive Officer, where it was, we were informed that the ZESCO MD is not the chair of the board, and we agree. But I wanted to find out if, keeping in mind the need to preserve the independence of the Director of Public Prosecutions and now by extension the operations of the NPA, where it's suggested in there that they should not be accountable to anybody other than DPP. If we made the Zambia police aware that the Bank of Zambia arrangement is different from the ZESCO arrangement, in the sense that the Bank of Zambia Chief Executive Officer, who's the bank governor, is also the chairperson of the board, on the clear understanding of the need to have effective regulation of the financial services sector. If you now have to draw an analogy with the DPP's office vis-a-vis ZESCO, and now the DPP's office vis-a-vis Bank of Zambia, which of the two positions do you think will make prosecution more effective? Thank you, Chair.
Okay, I can respond to that.
Honorable Chair, in our view, I think our suggestion we feel will be the most effective, in the sense that we have had, for example, some incidences where very innocent people get convicted, and if the DPP feels is not answerable to anybody, he can do anything, knowing that nobody can question him. And also the fact that the duties of the board, in my view, are somehow different from the core mandates of the DPP. I think he has got enough on his plate. So for that reason, we feel he should not be the board chair. I submit, Chair.
Thank you very much. Let me thank the police and the DIG for this length interaction we have had, and you have been very prudent and candid. We thank you for that. Also, let me say, you have spent a lot of time, even before the meeting started, you are already here. So I would like really to thank the DIG and your team for being a patriot. I'm sure without such a spirit, Parliament can't operate, because Parliament operates on the grounds of stakeholders and other bodies. That's what can make Parliament a viable institution. So I really thank you very much for today's participation. However, I would like to withdraw the immunity that was granted unto you, so that you go and serve our people diligently. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair.
You deserve an escape to paradise. Let's take you there with some of your favorite local content lined up on GoTV. GoTV. Be part of it. Live life. Mwamene ifunika kunkadila. GoTV. Nia moyo. Tamban mashows yonse from as low as 35 kwacha per GoTV and feel the best of local content. GoTV. Love it.
3, 2, 1.
Buckle up and hold on tight as you blast off into a universe packed with out-of-this-world adventures. Wow! It's going to be a journey filled with fun and discovery.
Oh, he's adorable.
Explore a galaxy of great times that will leave you amazed. Search for the weird, wonderful, and all things wacky.
Welcome to the future.
Discover strange creatures, hidden powers, and unravel secrets. So cool! And find the superpowered strength you never knew you had. Heck yeah! So go wild, tune in, and let the thrilling adventures begin.
Let's get wild!
There's always something to love on GoTV.
This June, the stars of Zambezi Magic are perfectly aligned. It's a gamble for stardom on the all-new 10 Tamanga Street. Bold steps push Zuba to a league above all. Lindiwe plays puppet master as her devious plan unfolds. With the hope of reconciliation, Shimumbi returns to Ranamumbi. Witness Uncle Imbani's hustle and bustle for the upper life. And get up close and personal with our favorite superstar, Mutale Mwanza. It's a date with the stars on Zambezi Magic. Channel 162 on DSTV and Channel 3 on GoTV.
Zambia. Even saying the word is a multi-sensory experience. It somehow captures something of the essence of this special place in the warm heart of southern Africa. Take in the mighty Zambezi River, the majestic Victoria Falls that form Zambia's natural southern border, and the national parks overflowing with wildlife. Immerse yourself in the fast-growing towns and cities, teeming with history, light, and life. Then visit the vast lakes that seem to touch the stars and engage with the plethora of different ethnic groups.
Good morning, Human Rights Commission Directorate. Now you are welcome to the Committee on Legal Governance and Human Rights. We shall have introductions, honorable members and yourselves. Thereafter, we will go into the submissions. So at this moment, I would request the honorable members to make their introductions, beginning with my far left.
Sorry, Chair, because I always sit on your right, so that I'm sitting on your right. Good morning, witnesses. My names are Honorable George Kangwa Chisanga, Member of Parliament for Lukasha constituency, and a member of this subcommittee. You're welcome.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, witness. I'm Chinkuli Monti, MP for Kanyama. You're welcome.
Chair, thank you so much. The Human Rights Commission, good morning. I'm Lamek Hamwata, Member of Parliament for Pemba Conference. We welcome you to this morning's deliberation.
Good morning. I'm Tasila Lungu-Monto, Member of Parliament for Chawama constituency, also the Vice Chair of the committee. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair. Good morning, Human Rights Commission. I'm Singombe Edgar, representing Dundum West constituency. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair, and good morning, the witness. My name is Mlenga Fube, representing the good people of Chulubi, and also a member of this committee.
Clerk.
Good morning, Chair, once more. Good morning, Human Rights. My name is Sanford Mwinde from the Office of the Clerk.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, honorable members, and good morning, witnesses. My name is Michael Mutwena, Parliamentary Counsel from the Ministry of Justice. Thank you.
My name is Achinga Myeto, representing Kalab Central, and sitting in for the substantive chairperson who is out on national duties. And this juncture, I would like to invite you for introductions.
Thank you. Good morning, Honorable Chairperson. Good morning, Honorable Members. My name is Katendi Kapinga Nkombo, and I'm the current Deputy Director of the Commission.
Good morning, Chair, and good morning, members. My name is Nyambe Innocent. I'm the Head of Investigations and Legal, Human Rights Commission.
Good morning, Chairperson
Morning.
and honorable members. My name is Tyson Mdenda. I'm the Principal Legal Counsel of the Human Rights Commission. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, MPs. I'm Irene Kalunga. I'm an internal auditor at Human Rights Commission. Honorable Chairperson, I'd like to inform the committee that we're expecting another member from the Human Rights Commission. Her name is Febi Chola. She's the accountant.
No problem. Join. You are bestowed with the immunities arising from Cap 12 of the laws of Zambia. The immunity is against any prosecution, any usage of the submission you are going to make. This is to level the ground so that you are able to express yourself free and fairly. However, the same Cap 12 again can be applied against you if it is found that during the interaction you deliberately misled the committee. But the idea here is not to prosecute anybody but to level the ground, and I believe that you are a major stakeholder in the unity and peace of this country, and so cannot deliberately mislead this committee. We have 2 bills, so no request you. We handle one, which is the human rights, then we finish with the National Prosecution Authority. So I would request you now to lead us into the submission for human rights bill.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I just seek some guidance, Honorable Chair, whether we read the submission again or we're going to proceed given that we had this, yes.
So I think you, I don't know, what do you suggest, members? Yes, Honorable Hamato.
Chair, I submit that if there are issues that they feel they still need to bring to attention of this committee, they can go ahead with the human rights bill that we are dealing with. If not, then we can move to the next bill. Thank you.
I think I suggest that since they gave their submission on human rights, which we exhaustively dealt with, would rather maybe, especially looking at that we have 3 witnesses today, would rather go for the NPA Act. I don't think that the way we went on with the human rights submission, there will be anything new really that would dwell on. That's my submission.
Okay, Honorable Chinkoli.
Thank you, Chair. I think they have attended to us, and maybe my question is, what prompted them to reappear? From there, we start from there. Whatever prompted them to reappear, we start from there and move on. I submit.
You have invited them. You cannot ask them. Why have you called them?
Why have we called them? That's the question now.
So you can't ask them.
No, because there were issues that I think were not addressed, where we said maybe they can come and present next time. Yes. So it's from there where we're going to start, other than getting them to go through the whole project.
Thank you, Chair. I just have one clarification from their submission last time, and I think why they are appearing now, because we wanted to interact with the management, because these changes would impact them more than anybody else in the organization. So the one clarification I needed was on the board chairperson, like the fact that the director is not, for the new amendments, the director is no longer the secretary of the board. What's their opinion on that? Do they think that that's a progressive change? Them as management. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Yes, the bill does indicate that the Director General in the new Act, hopefully, will not be the Secretary. But we do support the fact that the Secretary position has been put there. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Yes, Honorable Sanga.
Thank you, Chair. I didn't participate in the last deliberations. I think by the time I was coming in, you had almost reached the conclusion. But I've had a burning question that I wanted to ask them because they are the Human Rights Commission, and because I know that they are well versed with the international best practices on human rights commissions elsewhere. I note that even in this proposal to amend the Human Rights Commission Act, it has not been attempted to clothe the institution with quasi-judicial powers. Given the fact that it's international best practices to expedite resolving human rights disputes, that other institutions in the region and elsewhere are clothed with these kinds of powers, why hasn't human rights moved at this juncture to propose that if it's possible, we amend this statute and give you quasi-judicial powers? Thank you, Chair.
Can respond.
Thank you very much, Chair. Honorable Chair, I'd like to request my colleague, the Chief of Investigations and Legal Services in the Commission, to take that question. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. You will forgive me, I have a cold today, so I have a mask on. Just to briefly answer the question, I think the reason that we of course advanced our views about having quasi-judicial powers, but we were guided by the ministry, the sponsoring ministry, that to do this would need permanent commissioners in the commission, which was not attainable at this stage. But it's a progressive bill, like we said, and I think it's a step in the right direction. For now, we are recommending that this is a progressive bill, but going forward, probably in the near future, we could have those quasi-judicial powers for the Commission to pass binding decisions like other national human rights institutions. I should mention that it's not all national human rights institutions that have these quasi-judicial powers. There are selective institutions within Africa that have this. but there's been a progressive front from most of these NHRIs to have quasi-judicial powers. But what is of utmost importance is that these institutions with quasi-judicial powers have permanent commissioners sitting at the commission, which we do not have. Thank you.
Just for my sake, how we've presented this Human Rights Commission at the police stations, the whole country, beginning with the national headquarters up to district.
Honorable Chairperson, if you forgive me, I was looking out through the window because our colleague has just come through.
Okay.
Could you kindly repeat your question, Honorable?
Oh, I was saying the Human Rights Commission vis-a-vis Zambia police. Now, how available is the Human Rights Commission at the national, provincial, district for police?
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson, and I apologize for that. Honorable Chairperson, we are supposed to be at district level in all the districts of Zambia. But unfortunately, right now, we are only at provincial level. We were fortunate that out of a project from 2021, with the help of cooperating partners, we were able to go to the last 3 provinces that we had not had any representation. So we do have representation at provincial level, but Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Members, maybe I should take advantage of this fora to say we do need to have even those 10 provinces need to be strengthened. The offices currently are running at very poor capacity. We've only got in some provinces 3 people, with 2 of them being support staff. So, however, we managed to beef up the services for the whole country from head office as well. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
My question, because in the interaction with the police, there was almost a question, and the answer was leading to indications that at the police officers, there's availability, not the province, generally, like the way you are putting it, but at the offices of the police. Like if you go to the central police there, or you go to Kawata police, they're saying there's some integral committee there which is almost representing like a human rights observation, not the availability of the commission in a province, but at the police.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. I think the short answer to that is we do not have any representation at the police, though I must mention that through our provincial offices, we do get to engage the police, and mostly even at the police headquarters, we do engage with the police in terms of human rights issues, where we have certain officers that make reports and recommendations towards the provincial officers whenever any human rights issue arises at the police station. But to briefly answer your question, I think we do not have the capacity right now to be at every police station because we are short-staffed.
Okay. So now we go into the National Prosecution Authority bill.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. I will proceed to go to the specific comments that we made on the bill. So the first one is on the amendment of Section 2 on the interpretation. The Commission notes that the proposed amendment seeks to expand the definition terms to include, among others, the Law Association of Zambia, Legal Aid Board, and the Superior Court and the Emoluments Commission, as defined under Article 266 of the Constitution of Zambia. It is the Commission's view that the said amendment expands and harmonizes key definitions provided under the Principal Act with those contained in various key pieces of legislation, such as the Legal Aid Act of 2021 and the Constitution of Zambia, Amendment Act number 2 of 2016, which amended the Constitution of Zambia. On the amendment by repeal and replacement of Section 7 of the Principal Act, in Section 3, the amendment bill seeks to repeal and replace Section 7 of the Principal Act with the following. 7.1. There is constituted the board of the authority consisting of the following part-time members appointed by the minister. A, the chairperson. B, a representative of the ministry responsible for home affairs. C, a representative of the attorney general. D, a representative of the legal aid board. E, a representative of the Zambia Institute of Human Resource Management. F, a representative of the Zambia Institute of Chartered Accountants, a representative of a civil society organization that provides legal and aid services. And H, 2 persons with relevant knowledge and experience in prosecutorial matters, and the Director of Public Prosecutions as an ex-official member. 2, a person qualifies for appointment as chairperson if that person has held or is qualified to hold the office of a judge of the Superior Court. 3, the members under subsection 1 shall be nominated by the respective ministries, organizations, or institutions for appointment by the minister. In considering the above provision, the Commission notes that the amendment bill has reconstituted the composition of the board of the NPA to include, among others, representation from the Legal Aid Board, Zambia Institute of Human Resource Management, Zika, civil society providing legal services, and the DPP as an ex-official of the board. It is our view that the expanded membership and key representation of the board will improve participation and representation in key sectors, which will improve the management and functioning of the board regarding both the administration of the NPA and its operations and collaboration with other key stakeholders in the justice system. Further, Honorable Chairperson, the Commission notes as progressive the introduction of a qualification criteria for the appointment of the chairperson of the board to be minimum qualification eligible to be appointed as judge of the superior courts. It is the Commission's view that the said addition will enhance transparency and minimum statutory quality assurance in the selection and vetting process of persons to appoint as chairperson. Furthermore, the board of the NPA, being charged with the responsibility to approve the work plan and activities of the NPA, adequate representation with the participation of the DPP as an ex-official member of the board, will ensure effective management and operations of the NPA as a fundamental institution of the in the administration of criminal justice in Zambia. 3. Amendment of the Principal Act by insertion of Section 7A. The Commission notes that the proposed bill establishes the intended statutory functions of the NPA board, which functions are not provided for under the Principal Act. The Commission notes that the proposed amendment is progressive in improving the effectiveness and efficiency of the operations of the NPA board and ensures accountability through statutory set functions, which will in addition improve monitoring and evaluation in achieving the statutory functions and the promotion of effective corporate governance for an effective NPA. In conclusion, Honorable Chairperson and Honorable Members, the Commission notes that the aim of the proposed bill is meant to strengthen the efficiency of the NPA board and as a result strengthen the operations of the NPA as envisioned under the Constitution of Zambia as amended in 2016 and other key pieces of legislation to improve its management and operations thereof. The Commission therefore supports the NPA Amendment Bill 2023. Honorable Chairperson, I submit.
Thank you for that presentation, honorable members. Any clarification? Yes, honorable Fobia.
I seek two clarifications. One on 2.2.3 about expanded membership of the NPA, and if you look at section 7.1, specifically in the proposed amended on D, which is the legal head board, and looking at the legal head act of Zambia, especially the inclusion of this particular and its roles, the role it plays. And you find that among what the board will be doing is approval of strategies and management documents to do with budget and many other. Don't you think that this will be more like a spy role, that if you put the legal aid board here with the roles that it plays ascribed by the act, it will be more like spying on the NPA? Then I may not be using the word spying in the right sense, but I hope you have gotten the point. Then 2.2.5, further, the board of the NPA being charged with the responsibility to approve the work plans and activities of the NPA, adequate representation of the participation of the director of public prosecution as an ex-official of the board will ensure effective management and operations of the NPA as fundamental institutions in the fundamental institution, in the administration of criminal justice in Zambia. How does this particular submission sit with the spirit of Article 188, which gives the powers to, and it talks about the autonomy of the Director of Public Prosecution as Chief Prosecutor, especially that with the following, and take in mind also Section 6 of the NPA, take in mind also what is written in Section 8, take in mind the chapter and Article 1 of the Constitution of what it says about subsidiary laws, as you answer the question.
You can respond to that.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, for that question. I think I'll take the first question, and I think my colleague will try to attempt to answer the other one. It is the Commission's view that the inclusion of Legal Aid Board on the board, a representative from Legal Aid Board, is very progressive in the sense that Legal Aid, as we know, is one of the key stakeholders in the criminal justice system. Therefore, to enforce or emphasize on the principle of efficiency as well as collective participation, we have the view that it is progressive for Legal Aid Board to have representation on the NPA board. I do take note that the honourable member referred to Legal Aid being there as probably being a spy. We, as the Commission, feel that a board is run collectively, and for purposes of corporate governance, we feel that the inclusion of Legal Aid, inclusive of these other stakeholders on the NPA board, will improve its efficiency as well as participation from other key stakeholders. NPA is not the only key player in the criminal justice system. There are other several players or stakeholders, and including these members or stakeholders on the board will be more efficient as opposed to them just making recommendations outside the board. So we feel this is a progressive move. It's for purposes of corporate governance and for efficiency. Thank you. The other question will be answered by my colleague.
Thank you, Chairperson. In brief response to the second question raised, Chairperson, we note that the board of the NPA is a policy-making board which does not perform executive functions. The role of the DPP and the autonomy of the DPP, as guaranteed by the Constitution and also repeated in the NPA Act, would remain. And this would go as far as in the powers of the DPP to prosecute or overtake prosecutions would still remain as they are enshrined in the Constitution and would not be affected by the policy-making powers of the board. We also note what is progressive, that in as much as the NPA board is only making policies, the DPP, being an ex-official member, will give a proper direction that will not hinder the operations of the DPP or make the role of the DPP as chief prosecutor subject to that board. Thank you, Chairperson.
The insertion of 7(1)A up to I have two observations to make. The first observation is that I want to get a comment of the Human Rights Commission. The Law Association of Zambia, it's not mentioned here, but I'm seeing the Legal Aid Board. And the H, two persons with relevant knowledge and experience in prosecutorial matters. In the view of the Commission, for some of us education, who is to appoint these two? These two at H. And what could have led to the omission? Would it be an omission for legal aid, for the Law Association vis-a-vis the insertion of the Legal Aid Board? That's your comment. Yes, Honorable Chinkule. Oh, I thought you were rising. Yeah, proceed.
Thank you so much, Chair. I want to look at this issue where, like when we were young, would get, you get an insect, you get another insect, and you have to make them fight. I think those of us who had Kata, I think we played those games. I want to look at the board and the DPP. The board gives direction, puts structures on how an entity should be directed. So meaning the board is superior. Now, here's the board that is appointed by the minister, who is not known. Looking at the act, it just says a minister, who is not even interpreted to say which minister. Appoints the board, who should preside over issues that the executive, has put across. We are saying DPP is appointed by the president. The board is appointed by the minister. So are we not seeing some clash of some kind, where by virtue of the function of that entity, someone says, no, I'm the head. By virtue of appointment, someone says, I'm the head. So are we seeing any progress as we move on, or as we try to look at the issues of governance? I submit.
Who can respond to that?
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. I will respond to the first question. from the chairperson in relation to H, where two persons with knowledge and experience in prosecutorial matters are appointed. It is the Commission's view that these two people will be recommended by the mother body of lawyers, which is the Law Association of Zambia. And therefore, this recommendation is given to the minister, who then appoints. Because we see in section 7.1 that the appointing authority there is the minister. But we do note, of course, that these two members are part of the Law Association of Zambia, and therefore the recommendations, like all these other bodies that require this, will be coming from the Law Association of Zambia. But the appointing authority still remains with the Minister of Justice. Then the second question, my colleague will answer.
Thank you, Chairperson. In reference to the question between the board of the NPA and the DPP, whether they would be clashing, I will refer the committee chairperson to section 4 of the proposed bill. Chairperson, section 4 of the proposed bill inserts section 7A of the into the Principal Act, and we see from section 7A that the functions of the board shall be to provide strategic policy direction to the authority. It is possible that we can have this perceived conflict between the board and the DPP, but if we understand the functions of the board from this provision, Chairperson, there is a clear distinction between the policy direction and the actual operations of the DPP. Chairperson will further note, when we go down to section 7A3, which talks about the board delegating to the DPP, even in relation to policy functions. By so doing, Chairperson, we see a clear distinction between policy direction and operations by the DPP. Thank you, Chairperson.
Yes, Honorable Fube.
Yes.
Okay, Honorable Fube, then Honorable Sanga, then Honorable, no, that odd. They will attend to it after. You just need to remind which one has not been answered? Yeah, but what is it saying?
I think we could seek recourse from the interpretation section of the Principal Act in relation to who the minister is being referred to in there. So,
okay, just a minute. So we are saying that the minister is not known. Okay. So that was your question? Okay. So then we can proceed. Honorable.
Sorry, Honorable. Maybe, Honorable Chairperson, I noticed that we haven't quite attended to the question about why the Law Association of Zambia is missing.
Okay.
Yes. I think, well, we could assume again that maybe it's underage, the two persons with relevant knowledge and experience, but maybe it could have been more specific, as in the case of the Institute of Human Resource Management and also the Zambia Institute of Chartered Accountants. Submit, Chair.
Yes, Honorable Songa.
I know my question will come later, but I'm prompted to try and clarify after the witness has tried to direct us to H. I thought this is important because the other witness had also mentioned that the professional bodies that are being referred to would include, among other things, Law Association of Zambia. For me, the difficulty I had is that you cannot deliberately include a professional body in the definitional clause of the statute and then make no further subsequent reference to it when it comes to the important part of the statute. I was inclined to think, and this is where my question would have come from, that maybe there was an inadvertent omission of including the representation of LAS on the board, because this is also, for me, informed by the fact that persons who would have relevant knowledge and experience in prosecutorial matters may not necessarily be members of the Law Association of Zambia, because these would have been prosecutors who were government prosecutors, possibly retired. They may or may not be members of LAS, but they will be sought out because of the experience that is provided for in the statute. So without putting words in the witness's mouth, I would have been inclined to think that the omission of LAS on section 7.1 was inadvertent, as opposed to saying they would have come from a group of people that are already designated in the provision. Thank you, Chair.
As to proceeding. Yes, proceed.
It's more we write down what I asked on area, and I think it's to do with the parallelizing the two. Let me just say NPA is raw and legal aid is raw. If you go into part 7 of the Legal Aid Act of 2021, you find that it's the role of the legal aid to deal with the criminal cases too. And if you go in section 6, what is supposed to be the roles is legal education. Legal aid consists of legal education, legal information, legal advice, legal assistance, and legal representation. Now, we have these two. The other one dealing with prosecution, and the other one dealing, I am talking about primary law, dealing with provision of legal services and whatever it may be, because there is paralegal there is all sorts of things, and I think from section 15 to 21 of the Legal Aid Board. Now, if the primary role of NPA is to prosecute, the primary role of Legal Aid Board is to provide legal representation. And then the one which has the primary role of providing legal representation is also found on the board of prosecution. I don't know how logically that sits with the commission, because I know that area owner had used the word spy, and I think to me, if the person who would provide legal representation has got access to programs, strategies, activities, and approval of budgets, and many other factors. And such a person at some point has also to look at the criminal cases through, because they can provide, because the representation can be court-driven, where the court can order that legal representation is provided to a person. It can also be sought by a client, that legal provision is sought by a client. Whatever the way, especially the one which is sought by a client, where the client comes up to go and seek legal representation from there. And this is a board that is also sitting on NPA board. As a layman, I really have problems with that, especially that if I'm to paralyze in the primary roles, prosecution versus the provision of legal services. I don't know how that sits.
Yes, Honorable Chisanka.
Chair, thank you. I'd first want to write on what my colleague Honorable Fuwa said. My take is that even from a perspective of corporate governance, you cannot include a representative of a rival institution on your institution at a level where, among other things, you'll be discussing issues of strategy and approach to managing that institution. So I don't know how the Human Rights Commission can convince us that it is indeed progressive to place on the board of NPA a representative of the Legal Aid Board, whenever they meet in the High Court or subordinate court, it's standard between the two of them. There is a likely possibility of information on strategy leaking to a rival institution. I know they're government institutions, but at the end of the day, when we talk about criminal justice, they're actually rivals. But the bigger difficulty I have myself is how we will be able to reconcile, a constitutional mandate that we've accorded the prosecutor. And I'm asking this question because I'm dealing with Human Rights Commission. One of the greatest challenges we've had as a nation is to enhance the powers of the Director of Public Prosecutions, because the quality of the criminal justice delivery system is directly related to the amount of independence, that the DPP has. In the provisions in Article 187, it is clearly declared in there that in everything that is going to be doing, it shall not be, accountable to anyone, not even to the appointing authority. If you read that constitutional provision and relate it to the experiences we have been having as a nation, I think you've been around for a long time, from 2002 to 2011 and 2016 and 2021, where every successive government has come into conflict with the person sitting in the office of a DPP, to the extent that in the ensuing fights, DPPs have had to vacate office. On the ground, we are now at a stage where a DPP who has such a strong security of tenure in the Constitution, even beyond charges, are the ones who've had to vacate offices in the most unceremonial way. Won't we allowing, a scenario now where those of us, and I mean us politicians, who have the tendency of interfering with the constitutional office holders, we will ride on some of these provisions that we're now introducing to further undermine the independence of the DPP, which is required for us to have quality delivery of justice in the criminal justice system. I just want you to reconcile those positions with the practical examples that I've given you. Thank you, Chair.
You can comment and respond.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. I responded to Honorable Fube's question. One of my good lecturers at ZLM, Mr. Justice Mchenga, once said we are in an adversarial system and are in court adversaries, but we are not enemies or at war. And I tend to agree with him in the sense that, like I said in my earlier submission, that the criminal justice system encompasses a lot of key stakeholders, and NPA alone is not the only stakeholder that looks to criminal justice system. So you find Legal Aid Board, you find the judiciary as well. Now, this board is put in place to merely give policy direction to NPA and not necessarily the prosecution of each particular matter. That will be a different thing altogether. The powers to prosecute, of course, will remain with NPA, and on the other hand, Legal Aid will be on the defense. But when it relates to policy only, the NPA will have that board to oversee that policy. And we feel, as the Human Rights Commission, that the inclusion of Legal Aid in that policy direction, as a member, being an important key stakeholder in the criminal justice system, is going to be efficient, as opposed to leaving out Legal Aid Board. Thank you. I think my colleague will respond to that one.
Thank you, Chairperson. Rightly observed by Senior Counsel, who wears two hats, privilegedly so, being a lawyer and a politician, as he mentioned. The observations are great, and our recourse, Chairperson, is what is enshrined in Article 180, where the DPP, in as far as it comes to operations, enjoys an autonomy that cannot be challenged even by subsidiary legislation. That's not to mean that this particular amendment should go and challenge the Constitution aimlessly, but I think the clear distinction between the operations and the policy direction functions of the board remains the primary comfort in the interactions between the board and the office of the DPP. Thank you, Chairperson.
On a lighter note, and in my last submission, I would want to. I believe that the Human Rights Commission is exposed. You have some views, you have some knowledge of some other jurisdiction. And so Zambia cannot be an island, and we are not in an isolated place. Are you able to give some examples of other jurisdictions where, in brackets, a similar situation is occurring or is available?
On the floor of the House, Chairperson, we're not able to provide those examples, but it's something that we could consider and avail proper examples to the committee. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you. Yes, Honorable Chisonga, I saw your hand.
Yes, Chair. I just am still a bit concerned. I am a firm believer in the need for us to maintain the independence and channels of accountability for the DPP. I was just going to suggest to ask a question to my learned colleagues. Given the specialized nature of the functions of a DPP, comparable to other institutions, we have in mind the central bank in regulating the financial services sector, where by statutory provision it is reinforced that the governor shall be the one to run the show, both in management and at board level, so that both at policy and administrative issues, he has, a higher say or the last say to achieve effective regulation of the financial services sector. With the background of where we are coming from as a nation, we have moved. First, the DPP was not set up, it was only set up as an office, an individual's office. Then we enhanced its power by creating an authority which is superintends. Wouldn't we be achieving something of that can only be described as a double-edged sword by allowing the DPP possibly to continue chairing this board and then having him still head the institution in the same manner that the central bank governor, chairs both the board and the administrative aspect of Bank of Zambia? I don't know whether you change your mind if I gave you that background, or you still insist that from corporate governance perspective, he should, in fact, when you place him at a stage where he only becomes ex officio, you even know what that means. He's absolutely got no say in what's going on in the board. So you have crippled him, yet you want to sit him in the board. So isn't it easier to do it the other way around, where he continues to even chair the board, so that he remains effective and independent in accordance with the Constitution? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I can respond. That could be our last question.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. I think Senior Counsel has taken the cat out of the bag. We are having a discussion with my colleague just outside over the same issue. But our view as a Commission is we feel that this still enhances corporate governance. We cannot have a member who's, the DPP's office is the creation of the Constitution, of course, and his office cannot be, it's an independent office which cannot be intermeddled with by any other person. Now, we cannot have him sit in this board as a chairperson, as well as also have the powers to be the DPP running the prosecution. We feel, like Senior Counsel had illustrated, the DPP in the recent past, we've seen that he had been clothed with so much power. I think this amendment was to come to terms, try to come. I think the amendment was, I think, to just be sort of a check on the DPP's powers, not in relation to his powers to prosecute, but in relation to policy guiding the office of the prosecution's office. I think it's just well that there should be another person who's the chairperson guiding the policy, whilst the DPP is sitting on that same board as the Director of Public Prosecution.
Thank you very much. No. shall give you. No, I shall give you later. So let me thank you for having found time to respond to the invitation again. I know you were here last time and you haven't gotten bored, so we thank you for that spirit, and I wish good spirits of such people. Usually Parliament has to operate with such spirit because it's not an isolated institution. It works with the stakeholders. So its performance is through the interaction with the stakeholders. So that's why I'm thanking you for having found time again. However, we have to remove the immunity that was granted, don't you? So that you go and save the Zambians. Well, thank you.
Honorable Chairperson, honorable members, just to say you're welcome. Thank you.
cherish so close to my heart. This land, founded on freedom, grounded in justice, love for all mankind. It's a land where every person is born free, and it's a land of peace, of love and unity. This land, Zambia, land of the strong, home of the brave, our land, Zambia, free men we stand in this land. In this land, beauty all around, there is no other. Love like a mother's love for her child. Oh, let nobody come and take our peace away. Let no one take what is meant for all to share. This land, Zambia, land of the strong, home of the brave, our land, Zambia, free men we stand in this land. Ooh, I believe the better days are surely coming, and I believe that we can make it through this night if we lay pride aside, put a trust in God. Learn to love each other. You my sister, you my brother. Right or wrong, together we are stronger. So don't let nothing
greetings from the Office of the Public Protector. You are welcome to this Committee on Legal Affairs, Human Rights and Governance. We will begin with introductions. Honorable members and yourselves. Thereafter, we'll go into the presentation of the submissions for the two bills, which will attract some questions where need be. Thereafter, the interaction comes to an end. So at this juncture, I would invite honorable members to make their introductions.
Chair, thank you again. Good morning, witnesses. My name's Honorable George Kangwa Chisanga. I'm Member of Parliament for Lukasha constituency in Kasama and a member of this subcommittee. You are welcome to the committee.
Thank you, Chair. Witness, you're welcome. My name is Chinkudi Monti, MP for Kanyama. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, witness. I'm Lamek Amwata, Member of Parliament for Pemba Constituency and a member of this committee. We welcome you. Thank you. Honorable Lameki Hamwata, Member of Parliament for Pemba Constituency.
Good afternoon and welcome. I'm Tesiwa Lungu Mwansa, Member of Parliament for Charama constituency. I'm also Vice Chairperson of the committee. Thank you.
I'm Chinga Mieto, representing Karau Central, sitting in for the substantive chairperson who is attending to other national duties. The clerking staff.
Good afternoon, witness. My name is Sanford Munde from the office